he said, and what is the property you have bought? So I gave him the cost sheet. I said, this is what I've bought. It's open to sky and this and that. And I was surprised that the reaction that came from my father was that he just got up and he slapped me.
So many episodes of Business of Real Estate, and clearly people are loving it. But I saw this one comment in one of the social media platforms. You want to know more about Vijay and what all he's done. he seems like a very seasoned guy. He seems like he's had a few stories. He has a few stories in his pocket. Let's start from the beginning. I want to know one of the episodes that you hold close to your heart. Let's start with how you entered this market, your first stint with real estate.
Yeah, stories. So there are way too many stories. And everything I give as gyan, so to say, is having definitely more than one story to it. Let it be bank loans, let it be identifying your asset, communicating with the builders, meeting the lawyers. All this I have learned on this road, and I'm still learning. Every day there are new, crossroads we, stop at, ponder, correct ourselves, then move ahead. And the weather, topography, finances, and statutory norms, and so many things are changing, so we have to change with that. And learning is a critical part of such change. Parivartan hi to sansar ka niyam hai. So, but yeah, when I got into this, it was not intended at all. I mean, I think most of the people will want to create a very sweet story of success, and everybody wants to hear it. And as much as it may sound very stereotypical, but mine is an accidental one too. I was never wanting to believe that I was cut for real estate. It all goes back to the age of 20. I suddenly got I awakened to the fact that I am in love with my college sweetheart, and I couldn't do without her. We had just finished our TY exams. We were awaiting results, and as life had to have it, typical Sindhi family. She was a Sindhi. She is a Sindhi. She's my lawfully wedded wife now.
Oh.
So she is a Sindhi, and it was stereotypical of the Sindhi girls then to get married after their graduation. The parents, next step, organically, the parents would find a suitable groom. I was still juvenile, so to say. I was not even entitled to get married because the boys' eligible age is 21. I was just 20, and we realized post exams that this was the next step she had to take towards life, and I couldn't because I'm not eligible. And but I realized that I couldn't do without her. She was a very dear friend of mine, very, very, very dear friend of mine. Like the Jay Viru types, the only thing being that I was Viru, but she was not Jay. She invariably was Basanti, so I had to get married to her. And that is what I realized as early at 20. And I went and approached my father-in-law then. And I very forthrightly told him that, listen, I do want to get married to Anju. That was her maiden name. And he said, it's not happening. You are not even ready. I spoke to my parents, and they were not adverse to the thought. Nothing against me as a person or Divya as a person, but the families thought I was too young to be trusted with the the trophy called marriage, and it was not happening. And then we really pushed hard and tried to convince the system, and as life had to have it, as God had to have it, we did get married. And I was about 22 when I got married, and at 23 I had a Simba in Mufasa's hand. Only thing was I didn't have a Pride Land. So there was no Pride Land, but there was a Mufasa. And there was a meritorious Simba. He came as early as 23. I was doing a little bit of consumables, computer consumables with the Western Railway. I used to supply to them small quantities.
Yeah.
I ventured out into bigger printing businesses. It was fine. I was stuck to Western Railway, only to expand a franchise called Sleep-Ins then that belonged to my sister, her husband. My sister was based out of Pune. Her husband, Sleep-Ins, it still exists. That brand still exists. And I opened a retail arm of that nightwear stores. As the name has to have it, it's not a mattress store.
I thought know that.
So sleep well, sleep this, sleep that is mattress, but Sleep-Ins even today is a plush nightwear brand. My sister and her husband, my Jijaji, used to run it in Pune very successfully. They still do.
Yeah.
We opened a couple of stores here back in time. By virtue of that, I used to move to Pune all the time to pick up my wares from the factory they had then. It was a factory in a distant suburb called Wagholi. Everybody thinks of it as a good extended part of the eastern Pune, which is very upmarket. Like eastern Pune starts off from Koregaon Park, stretches all the way to Wagholi and even further now. And this has all become a residential bed. But the coveted Nagar Road, which is the biggest arterial road in Maharashtra, internal city road, which is huge, goes all the way to Nagar, as the name suggests, Ahmednagar. This road houses all of these popular suburbs. You know, it goes from Koregaon, Kalyani Nagar to Viman Nagar, goes on to Kharadi, and then all the way to Wagholi.
Yeah, but which year are we talking?
I think it was about 2000. I was married 96, 98. I had a son. This would have been in around 2003, 2002, 2003 when I started doing nightwear. But I was always having an inclination to buy property, you know. They would just give me an oomphy feeling, that's all. There was no science to it, there was no math to it, there's not too much of this kind of gyan I'm giving right now. But I just thought that, you know, Bombay was beyond my reach. Absolutely, Mumbai was absolutely beyond my reach. I couldn't think about it. I couldn't even rob a bank and amass enough to buy something in Mumbai. We were modest people, right? Money was something which was always a concern, always something we wanted to hoard, you know, kind of save more than spend. That's the culture we were brought up in.
And this time you were living with your parents, you and your family.
Yes, absolutely. I was living with my father in his house. I still live in his house. And I thought we should have one, and hence, on one of these trips where I used to get my material every fortnight from Pune, I thought of buying something in Pune because it was still in my reach.
Yeah.
I was desiring to buy something when it all started in a coveted suburb called Koregaon Park.
Yeah.
It's what Bandra is to Bombay today, is what Koregaon Park and those allied areas is to Pune. At that point of time, something towards the opposite side of Pune, opposite to Koregaon Park on the other side, called NIBM Road and Salung KVR. These areas were really buzzing. They did very well because a lot of NRI movement at that point of time. I think a little bit of Hong Kong crisis, SARS, if I'm not mistaken, one of those pandemics happened, and a lot of that migration was happening there, and there was a pent-up demand in that area, if I may say so. A couple of my cousins who were Pune based were buying stuff over there. A lot of them moved over there. Empty, vast lands, so very well planned townships, colonies, swimming pool, and all were in those age-old days. It was like a celebrated thing to have. Ki yaar, swimming pool wala project and all that. So all those were coming up then. But I somehow, had a very stupid logic. What people thought that time was, if I am standing at Koregaon Park and I wanted to go to a suburb called Kalyani Nagar, which was actually geographically just about 250 meters away from road number 7 in Kalyani Nagar, 250, 300 meters. you couldn't access that Kalyani Nagar. You had to go all the way around Nagar Road to reach over there, only because the Mulla Mutha River separated the two suburbs, the coveted Koregaon Park and Kalyani Nagar. So I said to myself, what if there was a bridge, How much is 300 meters? What if there was a bridge? This thing would have automatically, corrected northwards to match up to Koregaon Park. Koregaon Park was selling at about 3,000 that time. There's a very popular builder there, Clover. They're not so aggressive now, but back in those days, they were really aggressive. Clover this and Clover that. They were everywhere. They were in Koregaon Park. They were also in that budding area called NIBM. And I did not take anything from there because I could, at 3,000, I couldn't afford. I couldn't afford those units. But I said, I still want to understand what Kalyani Nagar is. And I went there. There were a few projects which are already done. One of the projects, my own sister and my Vijay used to stay. It was called Landmark. And I saw a couple of projects and I toppled upon a project called Lunkad Sky Lounge. And that family, the Lunkad family, Kantilalji Lunkad, their sons Amit and Amol, they are more than a family. They are my friends, philosopher, guides, even today. We are absolutely close. And they were basically affordable housing producers in another suburb called Viman Nagar, close to the airport. And they are trying their hands for the first time on luxury. I still remember it was 1,300 rupees, 1,360 rupees a square foot. When I've actually toppled upon this project.
So it is 3,000 at Koregaon Park and at this bank of the river it is 1,300.
1,360, exactly. So at that bank it is, 3,000 and I said, what if there's a bridge? And my cousins over there said, you're a fool. What are you talking? These things don't happen, and no one is even interested in Pune. Pune used to be more of a retirement home for, people maturing from here at 60 from government offices and going there. It was best suited for them कि pension थोड़ा लिया और पुणे में जाके बैठ गए. कई लोग तो पहले ही ले लेते थे अपने pension homes और वो बोलते retirement में जाके यहाँ बैठ जाएंगे. This is what Pune was then for most in Mumbai. So I went there. This was a beautiful project. At least the brochure said so. Just like your last podcast, your cousin. I looked at the brochure, I was fine. But I met this gentleman who was maybe a few years younger to me then. I think I was 24, 25, maybe 26. And he was about 22, 23, young Marwari gentleman, Amol Lunkad. Now he's a thoroughbred gentleman and a stalwart over there. One of the finest in terms of producing products over there. And I met him and I told him that I want something over here and what do you have? In my mind, I had about 3 lakhs of a ticket size, which my cousin brother's father and my father volunteered to pay in 50-50 if I got something decent. So I had come here with a 3 lakh rupee budget. That's it. To reach here to buy this 3 lakh rupee budget ticket, I had taken a sumo from Dadar station and sat in the rear seat for rupees 100 with these lovely long legs. Absolutely compromised, crammed for 3.5, 4 hours to reach the station. I had very limited money and I had to reach out to various aspiring suburbs and I didn't know how to thoroughfare there, right? So I told one of my cousins who got his then fill it, shut it, forget it, Hero Honda. And he took me around. And he took me this side as well as this. And I thought east of Pune, that is Kalyani Nagar, was where I would want to be. And I bought this unit. Now, when I reached Amol Lunkad, he was quite a salesman. He was quite a salesman at that age. He somehow convinced me to buy a unit on the 9th floor of a 10-story building, 3-bedroom hall, overlooking the sky, a terrace kind of overlooking to the open sky at about 23 lakh rupees. And I had 3 lakh rupees.
Nowhere close to your 3 lakh.
I didn't have 3 lakhs. I had an approval of 3 lakhs. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money. And I had 3 lakhs sanctioned. You can go there. I didn't know what to do. I had no courage to call my father and ask him what, but I was completely blown by this larger than life story. And I said, I want this, come what may. And at that point of time, if you issued checks, that was the only way you could make payments. They would give you an allotment. They would give you a named allotment that this flat is yours. 50,000, I remember, is all I had to pay. I did not have that money. But I was having a sanction of 3 lakhs from the two thoroughbred old gentlemen, and I believed that they will give me their committed money. So I said, let me get this 3 lakhs at least, so I'll figure out the 20 later, later. So I was very comfortable that I had to, as of now, what was the deal? I had to pay 50,000, he gives me receipt, I'm booked, and I have 3 lakhs. I have surplus 2.5 lakhs. Why am I even worried? So I booked the unit. Amol used to then move in a purple Zen. I still remember. I'm sure the day he watches this podcast, he's laughing his way up.
Zen.
So he had a Zen, a purple color Zen. Yeah. And I was very envious of him. Like purple Zen and all, I used to have a second-hand Maruti 800. So I paid that 50,000 ka check from Divya's account, that is Anju's account. She's now, her maiden name's Anju, she's married to me, she's Divya now. I paid that from her account. And I, of course, headed back again in that 100 rupee sumo, these lovely long legs. I was extremely excited because I had a brochure and I had plastic wrapped, even today I remember, that receipt. For me, it was a title to owning a flat in Pune worth 23 lakhs. This is what I have revealed to you in the podcast closure last time. That at the end of the day, a developer issuing you a receipt with the flat number on it, accepting the fact that you have bought a unit from him for 23 lakhs at a mere 50,000 token, he is the first mover of the leap of faith, so respect him. So he believed in me. Imagine my father didn't, right? So
I want to know what happens once you tell them that you got.
So I went back home and I caught a train back from Dadar station. This car used to not stop anywhere. They used to straight away stop at Dadar station because that was their business. They used to thoroughfare back and forth from Pune, these drivers. I got down at Dadar station, went from the eastern side to the western side, central train, say western train, caught a train, came back to car station, walked up home. It was 7 in the night, I presume, by the time I reached home. And I rang the bell. And I was very proud holder of a receipt and a very beautiful brochure, the first ever brochure I had seen, visualized and owned. That brochure at least was mine for keeps. I had never to return the brochure even if I cancelled the flat, right? So I went and sat there and I said, I have got a unit. So he said, all right, and what did you get? I said, I've gone to Kalyani Nagar and I figured this out and I spoke about whatever. I said, great. So my father was a man of few words and said, great. Now you've got the stuff and I'm very happy. And then what? And I had a newly born son. He was like a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years old. And Divya was newly wedded. Came from a very orthodox background where, they were very uptight, very well spoken. And we were a little crude in our language because it was a house of boys, right? So dad, me, we were a little more open-minded and more liberal with our language. And he said, and what is the property you have bought? So I gave him the cost sheet. I said, this is what I've bought. It's open to sky and this and that. And I was surprised that the reaction that came from my father was that he just got up and he slapped me. And Divya started crying because in her entire existence, in her father's house, no one slapped no one. She had never seen a live slap. She had just visualized it probably in the movies. So she started crying. And I was okay. My father has slapped me several times, And I really honor and respect that today, I mean, it's kept me in check. That man really kept me in check. A lot I have learned from him. The little bit of modesty that remains in me is by way of fear. I feared him till the day last that he recently passed away. So he slapped me, and I was not perturbed at all because I'd received these slaps several times. So I was like, okay. It was a humble way of saying, listen, Bida, I don't agree with you. So
humble.
It was welcome. Whenever he wanted to say no, he would slap me. So I said, chalo, theek hai. You don't agree with it. And I got up from there. I had to stop my vice cracks about why I chose this property because he was in no mood to listen to me. He said, do you know what is 23 lakhs? Do you know we are not even worth 20 lakhs? Where the hell will we get the money from? I said, okay, calm down. We can do this tomorrow. I have not booked the flat. So I lied to him. I said, I can say no. I have told them we can say no. Don't worry. I'll say no. And come now, just relax. Let's eat. And I went inside. They were still in tears. And she told me, what have you done? You know, are you mad? I said, why are you getting so worked up?
Yeah.
So she's like, Dad slapped you. I said, so what? It's okay. He's Dad. He can do it. Just relax. Just put it behind your back. And then when I hit the bed, I was tired, right? I'd come from Pune and I shared a cab. And I sat with her, I slept with her, and a very evil thought came to me. A very progressive, but a very evil thought. And I told her, you know what? 6-7 years back when I was wedded to you, your side of the family saw my face and they gave gold coins called guineas.
When you decided to wed her, 6-7 years back,
when we got married, तो मुंह दिखाई होती है. हमारे रिश्तेदार दिव्या को कुछ देते हैं, दिव्या के रिश्तेदार कुछ मेरे को देते हैं. तो व्यवहार से तो वो मेरा हुआ ना. मैंने कभी पूछा नहीं था, but I never, exercised my right over that stuff, which was little compared to the women getting a lot more. उसके मेरे पास थोड़ा सा था. मैं अपना 5-6 लोगों ने तो मेरे को मुंह दिखाई दी थी. गोल्ड की गिनिया, वो कहाँ पे है? So she said, why? I said, why later? Where are they? She said, it's with me. I've got it in a locker in a small dabba. I said, have you mixed it with your jewelry? She said, no, I've kept it separate. I know it's yours. मैं बोला, can I have it? तो बोलती है, for what joy? So I said, I want to sell them. So she started crying again. She said, it's come to that. We have to sell jewelry. So it's a big taboo, right, in India. To sell jewelry for a woman is...
It's an emotional...
Yeah, and it was unacceptable.
Yeah.
So I told her, now before you start the drama and a tantrum like that, you also go to sleep. Then at 10 in the morning when we resurfaced, I told her, listen, I need this 7 coins. They are mine.
Yeah.
I want to throw it out of the window, but they are mine. Let's not get into the depth of why I wanted, what I'm going to do with them. Am I asking you whatever jewelry you got, what do you do with them? So let me have them.
Yeah.
So with a lot of reluctance, she gave me. And I owe this entire business, I owe this entire success to her because of that. Reluctantly, she believed in me. She gave me those 7. It is impossible to take it out from a woman. You're a woman, you know what I'm saying. She gave me those 7 guineas. It didn't stop at that. One of her cousins who was married into a very popular jeweler's house. Yeah. We went to him because I couldn't just sell it to a known jeweler. It would not be a great idea, right? Yeah. I still remember we sold it to him for 3,600 odd rupees. I had 7 guineas. And that amassed more than half of the 50,000 rupees I had given to Amol Lunkad. The clearance of the checks those days were intercity, and hence the Pune branch of their bank would actually post the checks. तभी courier नाम की चीज, या ये जो CBS clearing checks जो आजकल बोलते हैं, any check in any part of the country can be issued and cleared at the local CBS branch. वो पहले नहीं होता था. So the process was that physically the Pune branch speed post में Bombay branch को अपने भेजती थी. Bombay branch would bank it with my bank and take the money out, and ये पूरे cycle में उनको पैसा 10 दिन बाद मिलता था. मेरे को भी 7 दिन मिलता था to pay the money. I had 7 days and I knew that in mind. So they was like, how will you arrange the 23 lakhs after this guinea? I said, that's not important. What is important is I have given Amol 50,000 rupees and I want to clear this. And this, my friend, is how it started. 50% of the money had come through all of this. I had about 10 odd thousand rupees with me in cash. I had a share called Godavari Fertilizers then. I had just put investment in one stock. It was called Godavari Fertilizers. Again, back in time, हमको share certificate आता था. वो काफी time से मेरे पास पड़ा था. When cleaning the drawers, I realized that. And I gave that, and I raised another 11,000 rupees. My stockbroker gave me the check again after 5 days. Now, those days, 7-8 दिन लग जाते थे पैसा आने को. Because physically transfer होता था. And it was a long process for all those stalwarts who've been there, active from that time. But I requested this broker friend, I told him, मेरे को पैसे की ज़रूरत है, तेरा जब आएगा तब आएगा, मेरा दे देना यार. So he gave me the money in 3-4 days. This meant that I had almost 40,000 in my account. You'll not believe, SV, I opened every drawer, every box. I have collected all the coins I had. That time तो 4 आना, 8 आना, 1 रुपया और 2 रुपया was like a privilege.
Yeah.
Every time I saw 2 rupee coin coming out from somewhere, I was feeling a high. 1800, I remember 1900, I jump out like this. This is how I reached my first 50,000 rupees. And the day it hit the bank, I was short by 3,600. My bank manager called, आपके नाम का चेक लगा है, आपका बैलेंस कम है. तो वहाँ लाइफ बहुत इजी होती थी. आपको 12-1 बजे तक था कि कभी भी जाके आप जमा करो, because it used to physically come into the bank, right? So managers used to be very sweet. They would call up, अरे यार वो पैसा आ गया, कम है थोड़ा, आप डाल के जाओ. So दोस्त यार, kind friends से पैसे लेके मैंने वो पहला 50,000. And that is how Lunkad Realty, 9th floor, 3-bedroom hall, open to Sky Terrace के साथ attached came to me. Pune was on the roll that time. Everybody understood that. All those who had the money were buying like lock, stock, barrel, Pune, Bombay. And I entered this bandwagon. SP, you won't believe that project was and is probably one of the finest in Kalyani Nagar. Even today, even newer constructions coming today, still, I remember the architect's name. He's a very popular architect called Mr. Bausa. Developer was fab, architect was fab. My project ended up becoming better by the day. What Amol and family promised me gave me 10x of that. They had granite on the floors, flamed granite on the floors, because appreciation kept coming and they wanted to better the project. That was the best part about this developer. That is the quality of a seasoned developer. Every time he is seeing appreciation in pricing, he was only bettering the project. He was only bettering the project. He was very clear that this is the revenue I take and the rest I put here to create a mark. And what a mark he created. I had never seen granite on cladding. I had not seen burnt flamed granite on the floors. And to top it all up, out of the 3 lifts he was providing in every project, every building, there were 6 buildings. It was A to F.
Yeah.
And in all of those buildings, he provided 1 capsule lift with a glass environment.
Oh, wow.
And that project was, and I think it still is, such a beautiful project. And I was the owner of the second last floor. And that's when the trend of high rises and being on higher floors had just begun. And when this got ready, this was like, it was picked up by one of the prominent business houses, hoteliers over there. I cannot take his name, but he bought it out of me. And I made a whooping 3 times on the project. I think I sold it at about 90 odd lakhs. And it was the most magnanimous moment when some broker called and said, if you want to sell this unit, I have this buyer. I had another buyer who first bought this unit. And everybody was ambitious that time. Everybody want a unit. And this was a coveted unit and it short in supply. And they really wanted, I used to have inquiries and this guy gave me 1 lakh rupees and he failed to pay me. You will not believe it. He apologized to me and requested me to keep that 1 lakh as penal charges. I wanted to give the money back to him. 1 lakh rupees was too much even then for me. And all this in 1.5 or 2 years, a little less than 2 years, I was sitting on shitload of valuation and finally shitload of money for me then. 1 lakh देने के बाद वो आदमी ने मुझसे पैसा ही नहीं मांगा. He just vanished.
क्यों? अच्छा.
He said, I can't take it. I said, okay, should I give you the 1 lakh back? Because I've already used it. So I'll take some time and slowly give it to you. He said, no, it's a penalty I pay for delay or failure. You please let it be with you. I said, thank you. So, and then he went and in a month's time, this gentleman came and bought it for a little less than 90 lakhs. And
but how long did you have to hold the...
1.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I had still not paid the Lunkad family about 20 odd % the flat. I had already requested them, I'm going to go slow. But एक चीज बहुत अच्छी थी. The gift of the gap was always there. I would always convince him. I used to always tell him that, you will never regret. You will never regret trying your luck with me. Bear with me. I'll give it slowly. He never charged me any interest. In fact, there was a policy. They never charged delay interest to any of their buyers then. Even now, I don't remember Kantilal ji and family ever charging interest for delays. They were always pro-investors, pro-buyers, pro-users, pro-end users. So I delayed substantially. I was at 20 odd percent short, which transpired to about 4 or 5 lakh rupees. मैंने तो 23 लाख में ही लिया था. I was 4 or 5 lakh short, and of course this went over the roof. And when they paid me the money, I paid Amol Lunkad the money, closed my books with him, then took an NOC from him, and went to the buyer and said, "Boss, now bring me the balance money." I have made an unprecedented killing, and I was an uncrowned prince in my house finally. I think that move was like, a make or break situation.
And
I
louder
remember
than the thappad maybe.
I returned the thappad with with thanks by saying, "Listen, boss, now say who's the daddy, I am the daddy."
1.5 years ago.
Yeah, it was big, and luck was on my side. I think intelligence. Salunke we did well, but not as well. Even today, the most coveted area still is the suburb called Kalyani Nagar. Landlocked, chota area hai. It's locked on Nagar Road this side, Koregaon Park, and the Mulla Mutta that side. So I always advocate that, right? These are all the learnings I've had. Stick there. And entire expat community from other parts of the country coming here because tech is very strong. Automobile industry in Pune is a old business. Factories of the coveted automobile companies are there, and they tend to stay in that area. They like that space. So I got rewarded, and I got respected. I got recognized. I became friends with all that one deal. I became friends with several people. People wanted to know about this relic. And then it was the birth of a real estate broker, Vijay Gwalani. I became a broker. And and then ever since I have been, I've loved this business. And I like to be called a broker. I have constructed, I have developed buildings, but I still like to be called a broker.
What did you learn from there? What was your first major learning from this?
The biggest learning I had that time was I did realize that if you put in some money in an under construction property and get a receipt for it, law was very clear that the developer couldn't sell without your permission, even if you don't pay him the balance. So that made me have assurance that I may not want to take him for a ride, but if something went south, there was a solution. It could be addressed. It was not that bad, Ultimately, darkness was not that scary. So
yeah, your unconventional approach to buying, I think, taught you a lot of lessons that are useful today.
And then, of course, back in time, tabhi finances fund milna itna easy nahi tha. I had some money coming from my father. He topped up more money because property prices bhag rahe the wahan pe. And he believed that now we are holding, so he removed some money from his PPF. My partner, my cousin brother's father, he gave us more money. And what was the shortfall then? We borrowed from friends.
Yeah.
Unorganically, but yes, we borrowed every time. We were pressurized by Amol ki, you must pay now. But seldom did he come charging at us. I think Divya giving me that gold, and Amol hand-holding me, the Lunkad family hand-holding me, created such a stalwart who sits today after almost 30 years in the business and is wanting to impart everything he has in the most organic form, in the most basic form to every new realtor who wants to enter this market. It is a business of real estate. We advocate, and it cannot go wrong if played sensibly the way we approach it. With the grace of God, I have never, ever lost money. I have either made money or I have made a lot of money from deals.
But are you an anomaly? I think this game is about losing and earning money, right?
It is not. If you can understand this game, like I said, it is about making money or making a lot of money. You will not end up as a pauper.
No.
If you follow these small things I am telling you to, even a stuck project with more than 60-70% investment done by a builder will eventually have a bailout with another builder. It always happens. It is a set norm because the trend is always northwards. Sometimes there's a lull, but it starts moving. Think about you walking a marathon. You're a little tired. You sit on the sidewalk for a while and you start walking again. This industry doesn't allow you to go back. Even if you're sitting there, inflation moves you upwards,
Yeah.
closer to your destination.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this business. So there is no love lost if you are patient. It is not a 100-meter race. It is definitely a marathon. You will have your ups and downs. It's a build-up, right? It's a build-up where you sell your story to. I sold a story to Amol that I will pay. I don't have the money, but I will pay. So it was a build-up there. I told my cousin brother's father that I will, turn this around. Markets are moving up. My study, the little knowledge I had, was presented well to him. He believed in me. My father, after slapping me, eventually did believe in me. He did cough up 5 lakhs in the end. And when I made all of this money and the property was sold, he just came and said, "I'm very happy for you, but mera 5 lakh मेरे को दे दे."
But did you return your wife's सोने की गिनी है?
That was my guineas. As a matter of fact, till date, I have never ever returned those guineas back. I've not even invested back. I had great support from my cousin, who never, Divya's cousin brother, who never ever revealed this to anybody because it was a taboo. But I'm in a space where I can allow myself the liberty to speak about this unorganic move I made. But you have to, if you need to measure the depth of the water, you need to get into the water. And that's exactly what I did. And
Is your Pune experience one of the top on your list?
finest. It is the only trade-off I had which left me with a lot of money, lot of experience, and a lot of honest friends. It's like school, right? Your best friends come out of school, the inseparable friendships. I play
Yeah.
cricket every Wednesday with all of my school friends on the turf. This is how we rekindle our school love. And there is no better space to be in. They were very humble and honest friendships. They had no vested interest from either sides, right? We were all school friends and they were like pious relations, more religious than, me even praying. It was so pious. And same way, when this journey started, it's been an educational trip for me and it has been very pious. Amol still is my brother from another mother. My cousin brother is even now my partner after 30 years. We still do broking together in the same firm name. And my wife still holds on to me. She gave me gold just now. So, after those 7 guineas, she just gave me gold to, just park it over there and get a fund, safely there for us whenever we need it. So she believes in me now. Yeah, my father passed away but was very happy.
And you did all this it's so early in your career. You took that. Do you think you would have taken that risk today if you were in a other conventional role, maybe working in an office?
As a matter of fact,
and
now,
not so desperate back then.
As a matter of fact, now I will tell you a small anecdote I had heard from my Hindi teacher. एक अंडा अगर पहले माले से गिरता है और नहीं टूटता है तो कहा जाता है कि किस्मत उसकी. 2 माले से गिरता है और नहीं टूटता है फिर भी किस्मत उसकी. 3 माले से गिरता है नहीं टूटता है किस्मत उसकी होगी. पर जब वो 4 माले से गिरता है और नहीं टूटता है ना तो किस्मत अकेली नहीं होती है, फिर से आदत हो गई होती है. I think I've got used to this space now. I enjoy this space. I have understood it very well, this whole space. I make my flow charts, I make my run charts, I make sure that I am in a good space. I must say that my CIBIL score, which I keep insisting, that it's always been above 750. It has been close to 800, sometimes even above 800. I respect all the banks who support me all the time. And my endeavor is to understand this very clearly, that if a property sells, my bank needs to be paid, given its dues, even if sometimes they pressurize and ask us for foreclosure charges, which is not the case anymore. I am happy to pay them because they are my partners. And all of these people are people I now respect. And Yeah, now I've got used to it. And I continue taking risks. I've seen something even yesterday, an old unit in car. I just had a brief meeting yesterday. It may not necessarily go through, but
Yeah.
I'm always constantly on the hunt. And there are a lot of stories, lot of longer stories, lot of fun stories, lot of dark stories. And yeah, life has been kind.
I hope we get to hear more of these stories.
It'll be a welcome break for all the audience to have these stories. Everybody likes to have a
Yeah,
story
yeah.
coming in. This is an absolutely honest fact. Most of the data, in fact, all of the data I present here is absolutely my learnings, my experience, and whatever I say can be absolutely validated whenever anybody wants. This story is also in a tweaked way on my website, and like I said, I thank all of these people who have been with me in my first endeavor, and I continue to modulate and trot in the same way, and I've been good.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for hearing me out. Yeah, thank you so much.